Like, you already did all the heavy lifting. You just need to stick the landing. And they didn't.
And it's weird because sometimes I feel like writers get into this thing where they make poor writing choices because they would rather surprise you than write a good character. And this is weird because it did neither.
Hi, I'm Alex.
I'm Madison.
And this is Welcome to the Writer's Room, the show where we analyze media in various forms and tell you why it works or why it doesn't.
Today we're talking about Agatha All Along, episode 8 and 9. So the penultimate episode and the finale episode all together. We're talking about episode 8 first, which is titled Follow Me, My Friend, to Glory at the End.
Spoiler warning going forward. This is part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Spoilers for anything within that universe, most likely WandaVision, but it reaches to all corners of that universe. You've been warned.
Summary.
Here we go.
Okay.
I need to think of my last couple Latin words. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Crucifixus.
The episode opens with Alice lying on the ground. Rio has come to claim her. Jen and Billy realize that Lilia has sacrificed herself for the coven, while Agatha and Rio discuss how Billy has cheated death, but Rio can't take Billy unless he offers himself up. Agatha makes a deal with Rio that she will get Billy to do so if Rio will leave her be and stay far away from her even after she dies. Jen, Billy, and Agatha all meet back up and decide to finish the road. They walk back to the beginning where their shoes are. Billy decides he's done with the road, puts his shoes back on, and they're all transported to a morgue where they begin their last trial. We find out that Agatha was the one who bound Jen, and Jen does an unbinding ritual, receives her magic, and disappears. Billy and Agatha continue the trial on their own and try to find Tommy. They find a boy for Tommy's body, and Billy disappears. Agatha then uses a root in her locket to grow a dandelion, completing the trial. She's released from her basement in a whirlwind storm with Rio there planning to kill Agatha. Billy, in his full Wiccan suit, comes to save the day, giving Agatha some of his power. The two battle Rio only to realize it's futile. Billy sacrifices himself, but Agatha kisses Rio and dies in the process. Billy goes back to his home and begins to put the pieces of the puzzle together that he created the road himself.
Very nice. 1 minute, 8 seconds.
Okay, that's pretty good.
This was a longer episode, too. I think it was like 46 minutes.
Yeah. So we just watched them both back to back.
Yes, they released at the same time. Should we talk about our costumes?
Should we talk about them?
Yes, this is it. We made it. This is the finale. Canonically, this is the first series we've finished on Welcome to the Writer's Room.
Wow. What an honor for Agatha all along.
That's right. You longtime fans may know us from our House of the Dragon series that we have yet to finish because we don't want to.
It's rough.
But here, I feel like we came to the end of our road. We're here. How do you feel?
I just have like all these thoughts about the ending that I feel like I'm really excited to talk about, but I feel like I'm also like bursting to talk about it because I feel like I have so many opinions and I don't want to forget them. But I am really excited about this.
Yes.
I don't know. It was more anticlimactic than I thought.
That's kind of how I feel.
So I'm a little bit like...
I remember asking you this a lot of times. And we can save this for like the episode 9 talk, but I was under the impression that this was like the finale. Like I thought the directors and the crew were like, no, this is the only season. There's not going to be a season 2 or anything.
Well, I think it is still.
Okay. I just think that's a really weird ending.
I agree.
But we can talk about it. I just wanted to take a second to celebrate.
Yeah.
Through this series, we've had a ton more traction. We're still pretty new, but we've had a ton of comments, a lot of insightful comments. We see people giving their own theories in our like chats about things, and that's been super fun. So if you've been listening, either if this is your first episode and you're like fresh off the season finale and you want to hear somebody else's opinion, or if you've been following us from episode 1, we're glad you're here.
Yeah. Let's
get into it.
Okay. So we'll start with 8. And then obviously like we'll just go in order like how we've been doing. I do feel like we just finished 9, so like I have so many opinions about 9.
Definitely like one unit in my head.
But we'll go in chronological order.
We're good.
Because on its own, I feel like 8 was a pretty strong episode.
Yeah,
for the most part. Good. So it starts with Alice lying on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and she's in her like regular clothes, but clearly in like the room where Agatha's trial was, and like Death like caresses her face, and then the world turns and she wakes up and sees Rio, and basically it's her time to go, and she's upset because she's saying that's like all the time she gets. I just finished this curse, and she says this can't be the end, this has to be the beginning. I finally broke the curse. And Rio's just like, if I had a nickel.
Mm-hmm.
And they like walk off together.
Yeah, I think this scene is super technically well done.
Yeah.
And I think it also does a great job of setting the tone for the rest of it, because at this point like Rio has officially like entered the game, I feel.
Right.
And they make it abundantly clear. I liked at the beginning, I wrote down, I almost like live tweeted this, it felt like. So we open up on Alice and she like looks okay. So I wrote, Alice is alive, and then like Rio touches her and I'm like, maybe not. And I thought that was funny, but they do that technically as well. Like it starts one thing and the camera shifts over, and as soon as you see Rio's hand, everything gets distorted, which I think happens throughout the rest of the episode. Like you see the road contort and twist. Like when she's out in the open, everything's green because that's her color. Or I think, and all the trees around her are dead, and it's just really cool.
I also think even when Death comes, they start using different cinematography and angles to show that. This is like the first example of that. Yeah, it's like Death / Rio comes to take Alice, and like the world literally like turns sideways, and they do this exact same thing later. Yeah. And that just feels, it's just a way to make the audience feel distorted, like what's happening to the people in the world. It was great. It's a really cool visual storytelling device.
And they keep that up the entire episode, and it never gets old because it's always creative. I don't know anything about Death in the comic universe. I know that Death is a character, usually a woman. I know that like Thanos has a crush on her. Yeah. Which is crazy. Yeah. But I really like their interpretation of how they went about Death in this episode, because it's sort of like I'm just doing my job, kind of. Right. Like it's very calm, very poised. And I wrote this down. It's similar to characters that Aubrey Plaza usually plays, but not that similar. Like it's not the monotone comedy. It's just sort of like this, well, like,
so what I felt like it was, one, I thought this was a fantastic way to open an episode right after episode 7. Like this is a great way. Lilia has died, and to open it with Rio taking Alice is genius, I feel like. But 2, I think the dialogue was really strong, and I really like that Aubrey Plaza, it's like she's like, okay, I'm not playing around anymore. I'm not joking anymore. She's like, I'm here to do my job. I've been silly, and I've been sort of like, what's the word? Like letting y'all have your moment. Yeah. But now game's over. I'm taking you. And so she felt like a whole different character. And I thought the acting was so strong and amazing, because like the joke was gone. The wall was down. She was a different person here. Yeah. And the dialogue to me, I thought was also really strong. One, her saying the theme they established last episode with Lilia and her dying and her understanding of death and time, they continue that through line in this episode, which I thought was phenomenal. Her saying this can't be the end, this had to be the beginning. Right off of episode 7. Yeah, I was like already like about that.
It sort of reminded me of the episode 1 dialogue that was super heightened on purpose comically, but it was done in a more subtle, more dramatic way. The other thing I want to say about this like interpretation of Death is I think it's really funny. When she was like playing along, it was like kind of kooky or whatever. And then exactly what you said, it's like, it's time for business. Like I'm just doing my thing. Except when she gets mad at Agatha. Right. Because Agatha, again, just makes everyone around her, including Death, just like a worse person. Right.
She can antagonize anyone.
It's so good. And it's just so true to the characters. And none of that is specifically stated. We just know it, and it feels right because these characters have been built up so strongly. And just like packing all that in one opening scene was just really impressive to me.
Yeah, I agree. So then we get Jen pounding on the door to the trial, which I felt like the cinematography in this whole episode was really strong. Yeah. Like the aggressive close up on Jen, and it feels very it just, everything feels so heightened because of it. And
yeah, I think this carries through. Because this whole episode to me is just like, it's Rio's time. It's Death's time. And when they were in, I forget what it's called, the torture device they like walked into.
The Iron Maiden.
The Iron Maiden. It's like this like blindingly green light.
Yes.
And it's these hyper close-ups. So to me, and they're talking about like how Lilia sacrificed herself. So it's Jen and Billy like wallowing in death, surrounded by this green aura. And I'm just like, wow, that is intense, you know?
Yes, that's really cool. They've been doing this thing where they, I don't know, not necessarily foreshadow, just when they leave a trial, the road changes color.
Yes.
Which is going to be the next trial's color, is what they've been doing.
That's cool.
Which is really cool. So they started, it was that teal color, which was like the color of the potions and the water. Right. And then like when they were going to Lilia's, it was yellow. And then for this last one, it was green. Right. So very cool. They continued it on. But yeah, no, that's really good. I love that. And Agatha is very frantic at this point, and she runs into Rio, and her and Rio just sort of, we start cutting back and forth between Rio and Agatha and Jen and Teen.
Yeah.
And Rio saying like, you, just like you promised, the bodies are piling up. And basically that Agatha was using the rest of the coven to distract Rio from taking Billy.
Yeah.
She even calls him an abomination, and that it's like upsetting the sacred balance.
And this is like, this happens throughout the episode too. I feel like they did a really good job of like power scaling Death.
Yeah, I agree.
Because again, I don't really know where she ranks in terms of power. I'm sure she's like very strong in like the canonic universe, but we know how strong Agatha can be. We've seen all the other witches be strong. For her to literally be like, I've been fucking with y'all this whole time. Like, this is my game now. Like, again, they don't say anything, but I have no doubt in my mind that this is on a whole other level of like control and power right now. And it is just crazy. It is so much fun to watch.
And part of that is because we've established that Agatha was at least really powerful. And so it's how the other characters are responding to Death and Rio. And also how Aubrey Plaza being so like economical in her movements and so specific, just like breathes power. It feels so powerful. Like she doesn't really have to do anything, you know, because she's just so powerful. And this is important. She says, this walk with another woman's son on a road that does it, and then she's cut off. Yeah. And like, we're like, okay. And which we know now it doesn't exist, and Rio knew it didn't exist. Yeah. And
I think that was a pretty obvious foreshadow.
I agree.
But it's fine. It was good.
Yeah, because I still was like denying it. Like
exactly.
I still was
I remember we were watching it and both of us went, oh, and typed on our computer.
And then she says, no one has had special treatment like you. And Agatha says, you gave me nothing. And I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I mean, that's getting into like
the next episode.
But
still. I
have many ideas floating around my head for the whole reveal of the reveal happening.
Right. But I feel like this was, and this is important, so I know I'm skipping ahead, but I feel like there was a lot of little things that didn't come to fruition. Yes. Because of the finale. It feels bereft. Agree. I feel left without what I don't feel closure. I have more
questions, and my previous questions weren't answered.
Right. And I really had high hopes, and maybe that was the problem, is my expectations were crazy high.
I don't think so though. Well, we can talk about it when we get there though.
No, but this is an example. There's examples in this episode, so I want to bring them up for the last one. Like, we're not spoiling anything, so I still want to just bring them up. So like this is just factually not true. Like, she was given special treatment. Yeah. You know? And so, and then she says, why do you let them believe those things about you, about Nikki? Because the truth is too awful. Is that in regards to basically she had him help her kill witches? Yeah. And to me, it's like, I feel like the idea that you sacrificed your son
for power
is much worse than what actually happened. What happened's not great. Like, you weren't the best of mothers, but
I mean, whatever though.
They were happy. So I just really don't think, like, this conversation to me is an example of things that did not come to fruition how I thought they would. Yeah. So then we're back with Billy and Jen is basically saying she did it for us. Like, Lilia sacrificed herself for us. And then they talk about how the Green Witch is all about the cycle of all living things, growth and decay, which is really cool. And basically that she even told him that from the beginning. And then Billy leaves to go find Agatha. So it's kind of a short scene.
Yeah, I'm wondering, because they keep referring to her as the original Green Witch. Like, I wonder if in this canon, Death's magic works the same as like other witches.
I think somewhat.
She's just like has other like responsibilities or something. Which I just think is cool.
Well, I think she was a witch before she was. She was.
Okay, so there have been other deaths, like other.
I guess.
Okay, that's neat.
I'm pretty sure she was a witch before.
This is not a critique. I'm just curious.
Well,
love the lore.
I would say, here's the thing. Okay. I hate. That's not true.
I hate. Period.
Period. I don't like just like saying things like shitting on something just to do so.
Yeah.
And so, but I feel like we hype up the good in this show, that even though I love this show and I love the acting and I've loved everything so far, I feel like it's warranted to give like my full opinion of what I dislike.
Yeah, for sure.
And something else that I feel like we didn't get, we should have gotten Rio's backstory. Do you agree?
Well, so here's the thing. I can fully get behind that this series is not about Rio.
Right. But
what I needed was the story of Agatha and Rio getting together.
Right.
That's the backstory I needed.
And but the creator has come out and said this is a show about death. And I think that is so true. In every episode, right? And that's one, because characters continue to die, but it's also because this idea of cheating death and time and death are important. And Billy's character encapsulates death, right? You see what I'm saying? And rebirth and transformation and all those things together. That is what this show is about.
Yeah.
And so for me, yes, Rio is not the main character, but Agatha sure is. And these last 3 episodes, I don't feel like it was Agatha's closure that we got.
Yeah, and I do feel like we've finally hit the wall where at the end of every episode when she resets to just being who she was at episode 1 is not working anymore.
It's not. It worked in 8.
Yes.
It did not work in 9.
No.
Actually, I don't even work.
Well,
no,
it didn't work in 9, which made it not work in 8, you know?
Right. So here, we can keep going and like, we can keep going.
But I agree. I would say like maybe a backstory of how she became Death, and maybe it was something very tragic, so when she does feel emotionless about bringing people, like she like, you know, that she actually does feel a lot of pain. That would have been cool.
Or leave it mysterious on purpose. Leave it mysterious, but you have to give us Rio and Agatha.
That's the thing. You can't have this mysterious Death character and then also I had a fling with Agatha for 400 years or whatever,
right?
You know?
And give us, because I think it's been set up so much about when they fell off, like how they came together and when they fell apart, and the timeline for me almost didn't make sense what we got in 9. And so I feel like we just needed something more about their backstory specifically.
Yeah.
And maybe Rio could even be like to Agatha, I'm not going to tell you how I became Death. I'm not going to do it. That's like a line I have and it won't happen. And I don't know. We can keep going.
Yeah, for sure.
So, basically, Rio doesn't want Billy to have Tommy because she considers that cheating. And he already has stolen his second life. And Agatha realizes that she can't take Billy because if she kills him, he'll just be reincarnated again. He has to turn himself in willingly, which I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought that was a cool choice.
Yeah, I think it's cool that Agatha like knows a lot about this, which does sort of allude to maybe they've talked about something like this before. You know, like I don't know when this would come up, but I guess if you're like talking with Death, you sort of does.
I guess she put it together that if it was that big of a deal, she would have just if this was something that was so an abomination as she called it, she could have just taken him. And she hasn't.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So then Agatha says, I'll arrange that. I'll give you Billy. He'll offer himself up. I'll make that happen. If you stop pursuing me, making my life hell. And when I do die, I don't want to see your face ever.
Yeah. And to me, at this point, me being a person who watches things, like I get it. She's not going to end the series being the worst person ever. So I'm like, oh, like she's definitely going to like sacrifice herself or something or do whatever. So I feel like this was good. I feel like they set up this idea of like she's lying to someone and the audience sort of knows it a few too many times.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I don't actually think I don't think it bothered me because right here, because we were still kind of like.
Yeah, this was the first one, so it wasn't
Right.
bad. But it's like as it happens, it keeps compounding and you're just like, okay.
Yeah, this one I don't feel like was such a big problem because you're still questioning it. But later, if you're at the end of the second to last episode, I don't know.
It's time to start laying the cards down.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So here I think was fine. And Rio looks hurt to me though after Agatha says that I don't ever want to see your face again.
Yeah.
Rio does look hurt to me.
Yeah, and I do think Aubrey Plaza is giving a stellar performance.
I agree. And
sorry, go ahead.
Well, I think that if that's how y'all are going to play it, that she's hurt by this and that she does love Agatha still. And that's how y'all have played it since Rio's been here, that they still have feelings for each other and circumstances have kept them apart. I don't feel like after this moment in time, their relationship is never explored again. After this right here. Yeah. That's all we got. And I could totally see this idea that Rio is acting out towards Agatha because she's so hurt by her. Yeah. And that's what I'm guessing was sort of happening.
And it sort of comes to fruition in like the fight scene at the end. Right. But again, it's very one-sided.
But wouldn't that have still happened if there was no love interest at all?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the only thing we got that continued this incredible story arc that everyone has pioneered behind it, how great it is to be this like queer icon of characters, right? And these and this in-depth, phenomenal acting, phenomenal writing fully fizzles out.
For sure.
The only other thing we get is she calls her my love in episode 9.
Yeah. And it's like half as a joke.
It's it.
That's it.
And that's another loose end, I feel. That wasn't tied together. Yeah, big time. And but continuing on, Rio then like takes a knife to like the wall. It's like paper shit, cuts it and walks through it. And I thought that was very cool. I liked that.
This was like the mic drop moment of the episode for me. Because to me, what I read it as is like, even before we knew the road was fake, because I mean, they went down somewhere. Like this is a real place at this point. She can just like, I'm out of here. And she literally tears a hole and walks through. And I put that down. Like she's truly on a whole other playing field when it comes to like power and being in control. And I thought that was absolutely badass. And yeah, I questioned motivation, but I never questioned how strong Death was this episode. So I thought they did that really well. Anytime Agatha and Rio were like talking with each other, the camera did this thing where it would never stay still. Like it was either a handheld shot or it was zooming in on them. And I thought that was just like slowly like rising tension, you know, like nothing was like at ease, which I thought was cool.
Yeah. So then Jen and Billy are walking they're walking and talking about Agatha and Rio. And they meet up with Agatha and she's like fully got this crazy persona on. This is her to a 10.
She's cracking.
She's like aggressive and being like silly and like in the face of just having lost Lilia, this is like so insensitive to everyone else. And so it's like, you can tell it's grating to Jen and Billy.
She's being really mean. At one point, she's like, I really thought you would have died first, Jen. My money was on the person who just died for you.
Right.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
It's like so far gone. And it's fine. I actually don't think this is a problem for her to backpedal.
No.
Because I thought it was cool that she does this when we literally go back to the beginning of the road. Because her character almost resets. She's back to her like worst moments. Yeah. And part of that is like a trauma response and having talked with Rio and all of that. And I think it's cool that she does backpedal all the way back and they literally start the road over. Yeah. I think that's kind of cool.
And I do think this is somewhat justified by the end when we find out, I guess like potential spoiler, Billy made the road. Because in my mind, if she knows this already, when they get back to the beginning, she's truly like, okay, well, I can't bullshit my way out of this. Like now I'm actually kind of pissed off, you know? Right. So I thought like that is still very justified and was good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it made sense here. I think it's at the end of the episode it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, completely agree.
So they are back on the road, and once she sees that it's a circle, she's like super angry because I guess she just wants to be done with this, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know when this happened, but I wrote "still comedy!" exclamation points. Because there were some funny moments.
It was funny,
and it was probably about something Jen did, and I feel like Jen is really slept on.
She is. She's the actress. I can't remember her name. She's a comedian.
Oh,
I think she does stand up, and that makes a lot of sense.
She's very funny, but she's also incredibly genuine.
Right.
And I don't know how she switches back and forth because it's very like showy comedy.
Right.
And then she'll have a scene where she's like crying her eyes out, and I am right there with her.
But I also feel like it's underplayed. Like her like one-liners, they almost catch you off guard. I feel like it's such a hard comedy style that she's doing right now. And it makes so much sense to me that she is a comedian.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
And this was really sad. They see everyone's shoes of who died. And I thought that was really sad.
It was sad.
But Agatha's like, okay, we'll do it all again. Jen is like, absolutely not. Teen also is like, screw the road. And he puts his shoes back on. And then we're just like transported into like blackness, and a zipper opens. And he's in a body bag. And so are Jen and Agatha. And
I thought like this was a cool reminder of like the mood that's been built in the show. You know, like you don't need to explain any more than like shoe on, pan up, we're in a new scene. Like I get it. I know what happened. Yeah. And that's like, I feel like that was very this show. Yeah. And it's a small transition, but it's still the essence of what the show is, which I thought was neat.
I also feel like, because you can ask why they didn't just come across another place and do the trial. And I think maybe it's because this is supposed to be Teen's trial. This is Billy's trial. And maybe he's like delaying it himself, you know, or maybe you see what I'm saying? Like, why would they come across these shoes again and go back in a circle?
Yeah.
Or
that makes sense. I do think as we've been talking about the Green Witch's idea is like cyclical in life and death, like it's probably just on his mind. So maybe he just like subconsciously willed like, oh, we're back at the start, you know?
Oh, okay, wait. No, I feel like I got it. So it's the last trial. And this whole thing that we've established of beginning and end are like tied together. End of time and your beginning of time.
Yeah.
And so we do our last trial back where we started. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Especially because this last trial being in a morgue is genius. So adding that in, that we literally went back to where we started to do our last trial, which was about death. And it's the Green Witch trial in a morgue. Yeah. Where we have to create life out of death. Yeah. It is so, and like how Earth is the cycle of of life and decaying is what nature is, and that's what the Green Witch trial is. That's all so clever to me.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
That was phenomenal writing. And literally I was like, okay, Billy's like pretty smart.
Yeah.
Is what I was thinking.
And it's such a cool like visual change as well, because we've been going to like the different decades and these different very specific sort of places in time. So to have like a place with no set dressing, no props, no chairs, no tables, they're in like rags. It was a very cool shift that put me on edge.
Yes, absolutely. Agatha puts on her brooch and she like feels a lot better about it because that's like super important to her. And the countdown begins. Jen is thinking, and Agatha just immediately starts antagonizing her, which I'm like, I guess because this whole time, Agatha, has she always known that Teen? She has, right? She always knew it was Billy creating this from the beginning. So I feel like she never thought there was any real danger. Yeah. Or any real danger in not completing the trial. She did think there was real danger, and that's why she would do things like not drink the wine and stuff like that, because she does realize where they are is dangerous, but I don't think she felt like the actual trials put her in danger. Yeah,
I think that, and I think Jen fully believes in everything, which like, why wouldn't she? So it is wild to me that she literally said like, I will not let you two idiots die. Like, trial after trial, like Jen goes in fully realizing like, I'm sacrificing myself this episode.
Which is so good. Her character arc phenomenal
It's
writing.
very good.
Because we were always talking about how we consider Jen a survivalist. And this is really good writing to me when you can write a character and you can ask an audience member, like, what would you describe this character as? And they can actually give you descriptions. Like, I feel like there's so many things where you can, like, if I'm going to try to explain, like, who's Rhaenyra? Right? Do you see what I'm saying? Who is?
Yeah.
It's hard to describe because we're too afraid to give people characters. But this is so genius that y'all gave Jen this out for herself survivalist character who is not going to, she's not going to put herself in danger for other people. And you know what? That's fine and that's warranted. And for her to literally, she pushed Lilia in the poisons trial. She pushed Lilia out of the way and said, me first, and went through. And this last episode, in episode 7, she said, I'm not leaving without you, and didn't want Lilia to go first. And then in this one, she literally said, I'm not letting you two die.
Yeah.
Even if that means hurting herself.
Yeah. Well, and what I really latched on to was before, like literally right before, she's like, I couldn't save Lilia. I didn't even try to save Alan. Like, not only has she grown, she is seeing the progression herself, which is really cool to me.
Agree.
Like, that's awesome to have this character growth that the character themselves are noticing. Is really cool and very well done.
And so that, to me, it's weird to me that you have Jen, who is a side character. The show is about Agatha.
Yeah.
And Jen being an important character, a main character, but she's not the main character. For her arc to be fully realized and completed and going from no magic to magic, and she I know that I'm skipping ahead, but she's the one that she unbinds herself.
Yes.
Perfect. The writing of Jen's character, perfect.
Yeah. Which I think it's this sort of, the reward is proportional to what we went through, because like the actual event of her unbinding is very quick. Like we'll talk about in a second. We find out who did it. She decides to unbind. She gets there. She's gone. Right. It takes like 2 minutes, but it doesn't feel like a cheap thing. One, because she's giving a performance that is
of a lifetime,
award-winning,
genius.
But 2, it's just like every loose end is tied up. We understand everything. And like, we didn't figure out about like the doctor or whatever, but like she even says it herself. She's like, it doesn't matter. Like the doctor didn't do anything. Like it was me the whole, you know? And it's just, the ending was justified, which I feel later with Agatha, it is not justified.
That's what's so crazy to me is, how did y'all write Jen, who is not, it's not Jen all along, it's Agatha all along. How did you write Jen's character perfectly and fumble Agatha so hard? Yeah.
It's crazy.
So, so basically it comes out that Jen was, Agatha's just being awful. And she says, how are you going to do that without any magic? And teens, of course, like, well, she saved our lives. Maybe she doesn't need magic. And it comes out that the doctor who bound her was from Boston. And Agatha's like, oh, you were in Boston. Like, I was there too. And we find out.
At that point, I was literally like, you're shitting me.
I know.
Shut up.
It's kind of funny though.
No, I loved it. I just thought it was like if you were to give me a thing that would make Agatha a worse person, I like, how, what, you know?
And so Jen grabs Agatha's hair, wraps it around her wrist, and starts doing an unbinding ritual.
Yeah. I don't know if we said it. Like, Agatha's the one who bound her. Yeah. Like, that's what we reveal.
Which is stupid, funny. It is kind of stupid. Funny. But and at this point, I was like, oh, shit. So they really are destined to be together. Fate. Yeah. It's fate. Circle stone with fate, right? Unlock the hidden gate. I was like, damn, this is good. They were meant to be together and unbind her, and then Billy created it all, and it's not real.
It's all good.
Right? You see what I mean? Yeah. I feel like that, like, I don't know. So this was really cool. She grabs Agatha's wrists, binds them, and just holds onto them and starts saying, you hold nothing, right? You hold nothing over and over. Yeah. The best way I can describe Agatha's attitude is like a 14-year-old boy who will not be listening to you. Yeah. Like, she just keeps being like, you won't. No. Oh, big tough guy. And I'm just like, shut up. Jen's not having it and just keeps going. She pushes through it. She literally pushes through Agatha actively antagonizing her. Yeah. And this is, what is it, Meisner, where you say the same thing over and over again? I feel like this was giving that, because I could see on Jen's face like the changing of emotions. Yeah. And I was so drawn in. This was such a good performance. I was literally like, does Meisner work? If you don't know what Meisner is, it's an acting technique where you just repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat for like ever the same thing over and over again. And it's funny because I also saw that, but I was like, okay, wow, maybe I should try a little Meisner. Like if it's, I think it's going well.
He knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, because her acting was like so good.
Well, she
wasn't overdoing it.
No, well, what I think was she was saying it and then she like believed it.
Yes.
Once, and then she kept believing it. And I'm literally like getting chills thinking about it. Like it was so strong. I feel like this episode made Jen my second favorite character.
Yeah.
Like,
behind Lilia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Refer to our last episode for that one. But that's what I mean. Like they're my favorite characters because their arcs are fully realized, you know? Unlike some characters who the show's named after. But all that to say, fantastic. Beautiful performance. It's like she breaks down after and she's just crying. Sobbing.
She does it.
In this blank gray background. And I am there for it. It is so rewarding and so good.
And Billy looks like happy for her.
Yeah.
And then Agatha sees her and seems to see Billy up happy for her and kind of seems a little bit jealous, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
And then Jen just disappeared and the road gave her what she wanted and now she's gone. I've one qualm with this. That didn't happen with Alice, but it's not real, so I think it's okay. Right? Like Billy came up with this, so the rules aren't real. See what I'm saying? So like Alice got what she wanted.
Yeah.
Got over her generational, and then was not taken off the road and disappeared. And
yeah.
Which I think that's what it is. I think it's just like this was the last trial. Everyone's covenants together. You face the last trial together. Like
that makes sense.
And also it's not real. So
yeah, that's true.
Agatha wants Billy to give her his powers and they're fighting and the lights start going off one by one, which the lights are like grow lights. So I'm guessing you have to have the lights on to grow anything and that's what they need.
Yeah.
And she's like, sit down, we're going to find your brother, which is really, again, it's very cool. This idea that it's in a morgue and we need to create life from death. I think that would be like the sentence of the trial and the episode, create life from death.
Yeah.
And they need to like find where Tommy is. And so she basically helps Billy find where Tommy is and find someone for him to like put his soul into, essentially.
Yeah.
And she's like, what are the last moments? And he notices his breathing. And I thought that was another genius writing moment.
Yeah.
Because it's, again, breathing is life. That's what it is. And so we're
really
starting with his breath to bring him back to life. Really good. And so she has him breathe with him. And she says, you breathe for yourself, you breathe for him. And she's saying, hold these memories.
Like the way they said these
Genius.
And this whole thing was very just cool. I loved hearing like the actual words.
Yes.
It was very cool.
She says, you can't keep him, so find him a place.
Yeah.
And so they're finding him a body. And she says, and he sees a boy is drowning. And this was climactic to me.
Yeah,
this
we
to
warped
me.
to this like tunnel vision thing of like, I guess like Tommy's essence or whatever, which I was thinking the whole time, like, is he pulling from like another dimension or like, is he just like in the stratosphere? It doesn't really matter. I was just like, how strong is Billy, man? You know?
Very. I'm assuming very.
But yeah, it's really cool. We're getting these like snapshots. It sort of reminded me of like when Professor X and X-Men like looks at people through Cerebro, like these like snapshots almost, which I thought was very cool.
Yeah. So it's like getting more and more climactic. Like he is like more out of breath and it's like scary. And he's talking about how there's this boy and like he's got no place to go and his family doesn't. And it's like kind of sad. And then he's drowning and dying. And Billy goes, am I killing with Agatha? Am I killing this boy so my brother can live? And he disappears. And she looks upset and she goes, this was really sad. She goes, no, Billy, sometimes boys die.
Yeah, that really hit.
Y'all can't hit me with that and then not have like a phenomenal arc. Do you know what I mean? This line was gut-wrenching and the delivery was gut-wrenching.
Yeah. Well, it's a line of such like understanding and she doesn't understand.
Right.
You know, it's not like deserved. It is like that line
in
hits
this
really
moment it is
hard.
absolutely deserved. But like I see what you mean.
It's taken it's lowered after the events of the rest of the season.
Yeah.
You know?
So the lights are almost off and she pulls the hair out of the locket, but notices something, and it's like a dandelion root. And so she uses her tears, and like, again, this is a moment of creating life out of death. It's the locket with like her dead child's hair.
Yeah.
And so she uses that to create life.
We're down to like the last 2 lights too. So it's very like spot-like looking. It's flickering on and off. It looks really pretty.
And she keeps saying, I need more time, which is really good after knowing what happened with 9. And the whole thing was that she wanted more time with her son.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? It's just all very tied together, except in some places, but it's okay. So she plants it in the soil from where the floor cracked when Billy was finding Tommy. And she's like crying over the flower, and it grows and it becomes a dandelion, and the lights all come back on. But then the dirt starts raining down on her, and she starts like banging on the door. And one more thing. Before this, she says there's no place like home.
Yeah.
She says
when they like
that,
first get to the morgue.
And also she says, they say, where are we? She says, well, my basement. She literally says that. She goes something like, she said something like exactly like she basically just says,
it looks like my basement. Yeah.
Yeah, my basement, give or take. And then she says, no place like home. And it's funny because I guess the point is that the road's not real, and she knows that. And also the Wizard of Oz reference. Because then when she gets out of the cellar, she leaves the cellar and it's this full tornado. And that to me was really giving Wizard of Oz. Like clear reference, because Rio is like the Wicked Witch of the West on the roof cackling.
It's good. It's very good.
It is good.
Which is like double funny because at this point they're out. Like they're out of the road, but it's still sort of like life imitates art. Sort of like she's still being very Wicked Witch of the West right now, which I just thought was really funny. And I'm really glad they like kept with it. Yeah, because that has been one of my favorite parts of the show.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like this green storm, and she yells, I want my prize. And she's like, I got the kid out. Which, yeah, you did, but you didn't get him to like surrender. You didn't do your thing.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like you bold-faced lied. Like you did exactly the thing that she was like, don't do that. And she was like, deal. And then you just did it. And it's like, yeah, that's a classic Agatha move. But like what do you mean you did? Like, who are you lying to?
Rio is like, you're coming with me. And she says, death by 1,000 cuts. And she seems to just kind of be toying with Agatha a little bit at this point and like messing with her. And the neighbors can't see it.
No, they see like the green building up.
Right, but they can't see Rio.
No, they hear her laugh, which I thought was really funny. Like they cut to the neighbor and it's just like cackling happening. And then the guy's like, oh, that made me laugh a lot. It's probably a mix of CG and like practical, but the effects of all the cuts in the glass and everything, those looked so good.
I agree. And it was just done well with like the slow-mo.
Yeah, at one point a vine or whatever like cuts her like ankle, and I literally like you know, like I like squirmed in my seat. It was it looked good, but it was gross.
So then Agatha starts trying to like use magic and like fire and water and to try and expel this evil. Then Rio goes, you're a coward, and she like throws the sink at her. And I have like thoughts on this moment. Wait, you tell me your thoughts first.
So this whole sequence, I thought when it started, I was really excited because she looked up at the moon. She's like, fire sign. And I was like, oh shit, all the trial things are going to come back. She's going to do this and that. When we're going to get the hit the deck thing. Yeah. And then she like made a salt circle. Rio was like, no. And then she dodged the sink. And I was like, oh. This
is where I feel like the episode kind of falls apart.
And I'm wondering if this was just like a cutting floor thing. Like maybe they did have all that happening and it just didn't work anyway. Like I feel like it could be justified if she did all 4 of the moon signs and then Rio's like, that's cute. Boom. Because again, I'd be like, fuck, Rio's so strong. Right. You know? But to do one thing and then to disgrace Lilia like that, where it was like a sink coming from a mile away, you know?
This kind of made me angry.
It was because it got like, this felt the most Marvel to me. Yeah. In a bad way.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good way to put it. Well, so one, this to me was her not having magic and trying to like use the fire phase and expel this evil and then drawing a circle and chanting on the water and then it didn't like go anywhere. Like if it felt like it was gonna happen and then Rio's like, just kidding, I feel like that would have been something. But it felt like it could have not been in the episode, and the episode would have been the exact same. She could have just been like scrambling for and grabbing things.
Yeah,
right?
well,
and it would have been the same.
The cool Vine stuff happened before, then this stuff happened, and then the cool Vine stuff happened again. Like you just could have cut that out for me.
Yeah,
I would have loved seeing Rio just like crucify Agatha. Like
Literally.
that was awesome.
Like just give some, I think honestly what I would have rather seen in that moment instead of that is lines of Rio being like, I gave you everything and you're
talking about their relationship maybe.
You don't even want to see my face. My face is the last thing you'll ever see, right? Some really cool dialogue for her.
We even got the lightning reveal where it's like her skull sort of face. Like that would have been cool. It's like you don't want to see this and it's all like crazy.
That would have been really cool. Now I want to talk about the coward line, okay? Because it's made me a little upset for a couple reasons.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I feel like they didn't trust the audience. Her repeating it all the way back, I think took the momentum out and made it cheesy. She goes, right? Because she goes, you're a coward. And then Agatha says, when she says you're a coward, hit the deck and says it all back really slow.
I think that was a problem. I don't mind saying the line again. Especially if you are like a casual, like week to week watcher.
Yes.
Like I get it. Cause I don't think that was in the recap or anything. What I would have liked more is as she was doing all the things, we could cut back to those scenes. Cause what I really wanted to happen, all the magic things had to be Agatha learning something as a person from the characters. Right. So like, she did Alice's thing to protect and she's protecting, right? And it has to be like, oh, I learned to protect myself and those around me, right?
Yes.
And then Lilia's had to be something where it was like trusting your inner voice or something, right? Where it had to mean more than just actually look out.
Oh, trusting your inner voice would have been good. I agree. It didn't mean anything and it weakened that moment in episode 7.
It was, I mean, it looked fine, like the effects were good, but it was literally just like a sync. It was something like it was not that huge of a deal. Exactly.
And for all the other things that's happening to her, this is just another thing. It wasn't anything special that made it warrant like a moment.
Yeah.
You know? And I think maybe what would have fixed that is if it was going for teen somehow. Right?
I agree,
so like if Billy would have been in trouble and at Lilia's warning was to Agatha and it was how to save teen, I think that would have been really impactful.
Or you know what I'm thinking right now?
What?
Do you remember in Dodgeball at the finals when he puts the blindfold on? It had to be like one of those. Like she has to like turn her back. And then Death's like, you're a coward. And then she ducks and turns and does like the final parry or whatever. Like that would have been something, you know, it was just like literally you could have ducked. It took you like 12 seconds to remember to duck.
You had to say the lines. You know what I mean? It took forever.
Yeah.
So that was to me, I kind of think this whole fight after the cool stuff with like the vines and this and that started to get a little anticlimactic for me.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, because then she ties her up. That was cool. That was a lot, but in a good way.
Yeah.
And then like the lights start exploding and Teen flies in. And I'm thinking, okay, this is where it like gets good.
Yeah.
I don't think I was right though.
No. Well, and again, I was thinking like that is crazy because like she's playing this whole time. It is just unimaginable how powerful Rio is. And I get that Billy is also very powerful, but like a cheap shot to knock her back is not like what I'm wanting right now, you know? Like I fully believe that these are the 3 strongest people in the world, you know? Like that's fine. So like I want that, you know? I don't want like the cheap whatever happening. So I thought his reveal was cool. I figured he would come back. I was wondering, did he just like have that red cape hanging around?
Well, I think it's just, that was thinking this too, but I'm guessing he just magicked it.
He okay. Yeah. It's like his thing. Yeah. Okay. Because that's like pretty close to his comic outfit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Which cool. Looks fine.
So she says, you look good. He says, you don't.
That was cute.
This I thought was going to be really good. He says, don't take it all. And then trust her enough to give her power.
That was cool.
This was to me great.
Yeah.
It was great. And I was getting a little worried because it went on for a long time. And she like frees herself from the vines and she starts floating and laughing. And I do feel like Rio was kind of down for the count for
I know
a good amount of it, but
she was like, I'll wait.
I wasn't super bothered by it. And actually, maybe we should have just seen Rio be like, I'll wait. I don't care. I can take you without it, right?
That's what I'm kind of thinking. Like, again, just like she is toying, you know?
So let us see that, though.
That's what I mean. Like, I would have, because now I don't know where it stands. Like, because if you're going to get like trick shotted by this kid who has power for 3 days, like, you're messing with the dynamics now.
Exactly.
Right? Because they even say it like it's futile to fight against death. So either like, make death someone you can physically fight but never will win, or what you have been doing is it's just a whole other plane of existence she's on, right? So it has to be one or the other, and you're like dabbling in both, which is weird.
Yeah.
This does start one of my favorite effects, which we see a lot in the next episode, which is when she takes power, it slowly turns her purple. And I don't know who they got to make those lasers, but boy, do they look good. I think
it's partially practical is how it looks that good. Yeah, I think they're using something practical.
I think that's what they did for Harry Potter too.
Okay.
Like the wand battle things, you know? But it looks so good every single time.
I agree.
It is so cool to look at.
She even changes back into her like Agatha outfit.
I know. Like everybody gets a costume change.
And she like did it. She doesn't take his powers, which does that mean she was lying? Was she about Alice?
Well, here's the thing. Like, this is one of those, again, that muddies things up, right? Because if you're not going to take the powers, that to me is like, okay, you are changed, right?
Right.
Maybe you fucked over Alice. I believe it earlier. Like, you're a pretty bad person. I get it.
Right.
But then she 180s again in like a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think I feel like there's a couple ways we could have fixed this. One, maybe Teen could have said something here like you can do it, like you can't, and less cheesy than that though. Yeah. But you see what I'm saying? Like fight this and let's do this together or something like powerful here, like some cool rhetoric. Okay. Could have been one way to help it, I think maybe. But I think the best way would have been letting her feel overcome by this joy of this power and is going to let Billy take the fall for her. Yeah. And if it would have been clear that that's why she was overcome by this like immense feeling of power, maybe could have fixed it. And hold on, I'll say kind of what happens and then explain more. So Rio comes back and says, I'll let you decide. One of you stays with me, the other walks free. And Teen gets thrown into the greenhouse. And then Agatha and Rio fight for like a minute. It's like 30 seconds. Like it's so short. They fight.
And it's cute. Like you see Teen sort of like ringing perspective, but like you hear both of them just like yelling and like smack talking each other and lights flashing. And I thought that was cute.
Yeah. And Teen gets another like one in on Rio. And basically Agatha's like, yeah, there's nothing to be done. We can't win. And it's like, that was kind of a change of heart really fast. Yeah. Like you're ready to throw down and fight no matter what.
She gets all powerful and she gets hit once and she's like, this is pointless.
Pointless. Absolutely pointless. And she says, it should be me. And he says, no. This was sweet. You're not bad. Neither are you. It was really sweet. Mm-hmm. And she says, you're the only one who thinks so. Which, for good reason.
Yeah, we're about to find out.
Yeah. And I also think, I feel like I'm going back to the coward line. I feel like if this was all that came of this, this is anticlimactic to me. This whole moment. Yeah. And Teen basically says, I'll go with you to Rio. And Agatha's like, okay, take him.
Yeah. I wrote down like Agatha being awful again. I think it's a lie. And then it wasn't. It straight up wasn't.
I think that, because that's what I thought. And I thought she had this trick planned.
That's exactly what I thought. It was going to be a pull one over her head sort of deal where they team up on like both sides or something.
And if she tried to take Teen, then it wasn't going to work. And then something was going to happen. They both get to live or whatever. Exactly. And that is not even a little
or even like, happened. I was thinking like maybe something's going to happen where Rio's going to be like, oh, you want to go? I'm going to take him because I hate you so much. And then she like absorbs Death's power and she can somehow overcome it or something because we talked about that earlier. And it really rubbed me the wrong way because it's like, her thing is to sort of reset to this wall she puts up. But y'all, like, this is the final fight. Like,
this is it.
I don't. This isn't fun anymore. Like, she has to be different.
Right. And I also think it's crazy that she just like gave up so fast. She's such a fighter for her life, and she just gave up so fast.
Yeah.
So it either needed to be like a, no, you're not going to take him moment. And like she gives up fast 14.
Yeah.
But it was almost just like, because what he says is he starts projecting his thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, first, he's like, I thought. And she says, what can I say? I'm a covenless witch. And it's like, okay, so you're just
awful.
Right. And he starts like projecting his thoughts to her. And he says, is this how Nikki died? And I guess that's all it took to change her mind.
Yeah, this was
that was bad.
This was rough, because this is the time where they say this throughout the series, in the last episode specifically, that Teen reminds Agatha
right.
of her son. And this is the point where he had to say something that was said by the son, that we find out in the next episode, right? Because then we can be like, oh, I get it. Like, that specifically was like, this is what Nikki would want. But him literally just being like, is this what happened before? And she's like, yeah, but not today. You know?
It's bad.
It was very bad.
And I thought when this episode ended, I thought this was the fake out ending.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, and it wasn't. This was the ending. And then the episode 9 was almost like
the
an epilogue.
Yeah.
And I thought this was the fake out ending. I thought this was the, oh, you thought, and
this was all a dream. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like this was still part of the hex and it wasn't real. And we had to overcome this. And this was the last trial or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I thought. And that's just not true. Because that's how not put together the ending was for such a put together show. And so I will say, at least we got Agatha and Rio kissing. Like, at least we got that.
I thought that was cool. Like the kiss of death. I thought that was really neat.
I just also think we didn't get anything else about their like love.
Well, that's the thing. Like, they
arc,
kissed, and I don't know how Rio felt about it.
Yeah, because Rio doesn't like her right now.
Yeah. Or she's crazy for, I really don't know. I couldn't tell you, because she did both in the episode, but not nearly long enough for me to decide.
Right.
And then when it's all over, she's just like, leave, Teen. And then he does.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, that's it. And so like Earth grows over her, which I thought was cool. I did think that was cool.
It was cool.
And Rio just goes, you may go. And he walks to his car slowly. It was almost funny.
I did say it's wild to see him just like get into a car.
Yeah, I thought he was
drive away.
I thought he was gonna fly away.
Yeah.
And he like gets in his car.
Well, I was just like, oh shit, it's like the normal world again.
Right.
The music was very spooky.
I thought the music in this episode was all really good.
I thought it was good too. They did a lot of vocal stuff for this one on episode 9, and I was here for it. It was like, it was very apparent, but it was never too distracting.
Yeah. He gets home and he's been gone only for 24 hours, which is like, I'm wondering if time obviously felt differently on the road. Which
again, like, I don't know, he's just got the nicest parent. Like 24 hours is a long time to be gone, but it's because usually it's like, I don't know, like this epic stuff. It's like, you've been gone for years or something like that. It's like, it's been 24 hours. Yeah, we called the police. We were worried about it, you know?
Yeah.
Thought that was cute.
He goes into his room. He like showers and he goes into his room and he sees the Lorna Wu poster. Then he sees the Wicked Witch of the West trinket. And we start flashing back to things in the show that we've seen. So Agatha said, the Witch's Road doesn't exist. And he says, it's exactly how I pictured it. And she says, didn't think you had it in you. And these were things I felt like were tied up that we've wondered what they meant.
This is cool.
This was good. And
which is wild to me that so it culminates and we realize that Teen/Billy like conjured what we have been seeing as the road.
Right.
You know, we get more backstory of what the road is later, but like the physical journey that everybody went on was created by him.
Right.
And it is amazing to me that they tied that together in a way that it didn't feel worthless.
Yes.
And then didn't resolve Agatha's character.
Yes.
Because literally it like that's on the level of like the ending of Lost, where it was like all a dream or whatever to me. Like, oh, it was all fake the whole time, which cool. Like Wanda did the same thing. Like that's actually like pretty cool.
Yeah,
You know?
and like there's things people have theorized where it's like you and her, your mom have the same tail. That's how I know.
Exactly. But it's so justified. Not only because it builds up the whole time, but it doesn't actively take away from anything that we've seen. Like all the events still happen. All the character arcs that we've seen still went on.
The only thing that Lilia sacrificing herself for nothing to me bothers me.
Yeah, and I mean, she did actually kill the Salem 7. But again, that doesn't mean anything aside from Agatha, who is dead. So it doesn't matter.
All it did was save Agatha.
Yeah.
That's it. Like nothing else. And that's what... So that feels less like climactic now, too.
Mm-hmm.
And, just basically he realizes that he created the road, and then we hear a boo sound. And that's the episode.
Yeah.
I feel a little bit conflicted on how I feel about him like creating the road. I think it like seeing the end of 8, I do think it was kind of cool. I do think people called it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I just think they've been so good about subverting expectations that I don't feel like expectations were subverted in the finale.
Okay. Yeah. I don't mind it. I think it may not have been the most like wild crazy thing, but I don't think that's bad. Because like I said, I do think it's justified. Like when I learned this information, I wasn't like, that doesn't make sense. I was just like, oh, that's crazy,
Yeah.
So I don't think I mind that so much. I remember feeling this episode felt really quick in a bad way.
Okay.
Because we learned a good amount, but I also feel like none of my questions were answered.
Yes. And so I was like, okay, cool. We're going to get all these questions answered in 9. It's like, no, we just get a montage of her and her kid.
Well, and I was wondering, like, so this was like the ending battle, which I'm all for a good like epilogue ending, like where are they after the thing is over sort of episode. But they weren't at a place, like the show wasn't over yet. Like we still had a lot to get through.
Yeah.
And then they spent 15 minutes on a flashback.
Yeah. I don't even think the flashback was that strong.
I don't think it was good.
And
I did not care. I did
thing.
not care.
I try so hard. I think what...
Yes. Wait, should we wrap up episode 8 first?
Yeah, let's wrap up episode 8. So basically that was it. I liked episode 8. I thought it was pretty strong. I was like, okay, all these loose ends are going to get tied up in 9. Like, so exciting, right? Okay, so we know that it's going to be... Because what they've done really well is making you think you know what's happened.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, shit, I didn't really know it. Y'all got me. And so I was like, oh, this is going to be a really good gotcha moment in episode 9. So that's how I ended 8.
I remember ending 8 being like, 7 was so good, you know? And I was like, okay, 8 and 9 were released the same day. It's probably like a part 1 deal, right? Like you can't just watch episode 8. So I was like leaving it pretty neutral, but yeah, it was clunky, and then just very unresolved.
Yes, but I think that's okay because it should
because
have
episode 9. Episode 9.
Right, we have all the resolution in episode 9.
We have 30 more minutes of answers, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay, let's do like a 9 summary.
Okay, all right. Timer.
Titled Maiden Mother Crone.
All right.
Our finale episode.
That's right. The finale episode. 3, 2, 1, Maga.
Our finale episode of Agatha All Along starts with a flashback of Agatha giving birth to her son Nicholas. Rio comes to take him, but Agatha begs her, and Rio gives her more time. The two continue on together, Agatha and her son, tricking witches for Agatha to take their power. Rio eventually does come for Nicholas, and a witch hears Agatha singing the Ballad of the Witch's Road at his grave, a song the two of them made up. Thinking the Witch's Road is real, a witch comes by asking Agatha to lead her there. She agrees, and then they begin a montage of years where Agatha cons witches into stealing their powers from them. All the way to the present where we see that Agatha has become a ghost. Billy is distraught, feeling as if he is the reason for the deaths, although Jen got out and now has her powers. Billy goes to Agatha's house and plans to banish her, but she convinces him not to, saying she can't face her son. Billy makes a grave for those who have passed, and Agatha and Billy decide to go find Tommy together.
52 seconds. I do want to say it is past midnight. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Oh my gosh, happy Halloween.
On Halloween
yes.
morning, October 31st. Very fitting for the finale of this show.
Yeah.
This has been one continuous episode. Yes.
Yeah.
So we're just. I think we should just get right into it.
I agree. I'm gonna give a couple of my overall thoughts because I've just been like waiting this whole time we're talking about H.
Okay, cool.
I did not like this episode.
No.
I actually, even in writing the summary, I got angry because I thought this episode was so anticlimactic and so many things were left unresolved. And it was also just, this was the worst one. By far, this was the worst episode. And do you disagree?
No, I think like it's just hard because all the other episodes are very tied together and this seems so detached.
Mm-hmm.
And you got like the physical, like the actual tying together with like Lilia and the visions and stuff, like all that is like very meticulously planned out. And then this is just like a fucking beeline to a flashback that we didn't really need at all.
Yeah.
And didn't tell us anything. Like it was way too long for the information we got.
I know that I like shit on everyone for being like, well, that's bad writing. This wasn't good writing.
This is not good writing. And like, I don't know. I left the thing being like, wait, why is everybody mad?
Right. I have like an ongoing list of things that didn't get addressed.
Okay, good.
I think we can go through the episode, and if we haven't talked about those, we'll come back to them.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So
yeah, let me start with a good thing.
Yeah, I'll start with a good thing.
We're running through the woods. It's Agatha. The music that's playing fucking slaps.
I would say the best thing about this episode is the music.
I would say the best thing about this episode is that specific track. And I wrote this down. It's like the voice is going ha ta 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 ta.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Eris's soundtrack from Sinbad.
Ooh.
And I loved it because I'm like, yeah, that's witchy, that's conjuring, that's spooky. And then we get into the scene and I'm like, why the fuck was that music playing earlier?
So yeah, Agatha's running at 1750. She's pregnant.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we love a good flashback.
I love a
we
good
love
flashback.
This was not the time.
It could have been because they were trying to do basically what they did 3 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Which was, oh, Teen is Wiccan. Flashback to Teen story.
Yeah.
But this one didn't work because, Teen created the road. Flashback to Agatha's story.
Well, I kind of get it. Like, it's like story resolved, flashback. Oh, wait, it's actually not resolved. But then it just sort of didn't change anything.
Because it didn't. Here's the thing. This is why I would consider this like not good writing. Everything in this flashback, we for the most part already knew. The biggest thing about this flashback that we got that was needed information was that Agatha created this con of the Witch's Road. Yeah. And because we already know she loves her kid. We know she loves her kid. We know he died. We know Rio had something to do with it. The context clues tells us that Rio's death, he died. It's easy to put together. She had something to do with it and they hate each other. So we didn't even really glean that information, you know? Yeah. So really all we got was this con of the Witch's Road. And I guess what they were trying to tell us was that the truth is she let her kid help her kill a bunch of people and that was like shitty. And I just don't think that was as shitty as the truth. Yeah, absolutely not. As the facade that people believe. No. By the end, I was like, why? No. Like, what? So it just it didn't really offer up enough new information to warrant how long it was. Well, and especially because it kept saying, because the truth is too much. The truth is too. I'm like, what are you talking about? What's the truth? Like, I fully believe that you sacrificed your son to get stronger. For power. And then you're telling me he just regular died, and you're like, oh, let me keep doing exactly what I was doing, but now I'm gonna sing his song. Like, don't convince me that that's worse. Also, what? You're telling me he regular died, Rio took him. Actually, she didn't. Gave you 6, 7 more, 8 more years with this kid. That's and you said, fuck you, Rio? Yeah, you gave me nothing. Like, the kid grew to be like 12 years old. What are you talking about? Rio is right. She gave you everything. I don't think she decides when people die. Yeah, Rio doesn't make the rules. She just sort of like bends them a little bit. Yes, she gave you more time. And it's not like, it wasn't even a spiteful thing. Like, he took him in his sleep. Like, it was nice. Like, yeah, it was such a nice way to go about things. So I don't like, it completely undoes their relationship for me. It completely undoes all of Agatha's motivations. This episode
really upset me. This was not fun to watch.
I'm trying not to let it like hinder the other episodes. That's how bad it was. Like the other episodes being so good.
I want to go back and watch episode 7 after this.
Me too. Have a good cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the other thing. Like, you started really good. Like, the show's been really, really good. And then you get to 7. You're at the top of Mount Everest. And then you go below sea level for the ending.
Right.
It is wild, the amount of fumble that has happened.
Because I would put 9 at the worst episode.
I think I agree.
And I would put 8, I guess, right?
Maybe second worst, yeah.
Right.
I don't remember not liking any other episodes.
I would say it's 8 or whatever Agatha's trial episode
They Game
was.
of Thrones did.
Oh, shit. They did, didn't they? Okay, so basically, she's giving birth. And she looks around and sees Rio. This was cool because this was like no words. I like the costuming and the makeup.
I was
Rio.
saying that too, yeah.
She looked beautiful and so young and youthful.
And they did stuff different because I remember thinking, I wrote this down, the flashback, usually they'll put like a filter on it or something, but it wasn't. It was like pretty natural. The colors were vibrant, but they did subtle things with the costuming and the makeup specifically that just made it look different.
Which I like.
Yeah, that was cool.
It's clear that she's like come for the baby and it was just no words were said. I thought that was really nicely done.
Yeah.
And she says, you do this and I will hate you forever.
Mm-hmm.
Please let him live. Please, my love. And she says, I can offer him only time. And then she's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I don't think it's fair to blame Rio.
No, I mean, it's her job.
Right.
She says everybody's got to die, you know?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, that's super sad. But it's not her fault. She didn't do it.
At
She's
least
just
as
like,
far as I know. And if it was her fault, because here's the thing, if it was her fault, y'all had to make that more clear.
yeah.
That's on y'all then.
No, to me, the way they established Rio is very much like I am the guide to the other planet. Like she didn't kill anyone. She just collects the souls after.
And yeah, she likes it. But you know, like
but
she
that's
seems
fine.
to want
It's good to like your job.
Right. It's healthy.
Yeah, I was kind of in nitpicky mode, so I said, why was she running in the woods?
Oh,
I
you
thought
were
she was
in
running
nitpicky
from
mode.
something.
I thought she was too. You're so right, though.
And she
Why
just
was
ran to the tree to like, and I'm
a
like,
random tree.
what do you know?
Well, I thought she was going to do some sort of like spell to help her give birth.
Or maybe she was being chased by a mob or something.
But no.
But no. Because I assume it's hard to run when you're giving birth.
Right.
Yeah, I've never been there, but
right. I don't think that's the comfiest position to be in. So then she like easily gives birth right after that. Raw dogs it right in the woods by herself.
And maybe she was running from death, but like, come on.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
That doesn't make sense because she looks surprised.
Yeah.
So then she says,
"You caught me."
Damn it, Dad! You're so fast. Yeah, if only my 9-month ass pregnant could run faster. Freaking stupid. So then she's like, it was no spell, no incantation. I made you from scratch. Which I
thought out of context that was cute.
I thought it was kind of cute too. Because like his name is Nicholas Scratch. That's why she named him Nicholas Scratch. And I thought that was cute.
Yeah, it was fine.
It was fine. My hopes were still through the roof for this episode. Like I was not letting anything get me down. So then she's walking with her baby crying and she hears singing and each little individual vignette was good, right? Like each little story moment was nice, right? It was just that they were strung all together and it just like accumulated to nothing, right? Nothing came out of all of it when it came together. It wasn't a full story.
This is the one where like you start the series off with this flashback and every episode we learn a little bit more of the whole picture.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because we didn't learn anything. And it was cool the first time. Like she's walking with her newborn baby and they come across this thing of like forest witches, which is adorable. They're very cute.
They let her in the circle.
They let her in the circle.
They literally offer her food and water.
Yeah. Boom. She's evil. She takes their powers. They're dead. Right.
Right. Which also I don't think this takes anything away from it, but it's kind of been sort of a question of, is Agatha like truly evil at heart or was she just misunderstood? I feel like this puts us all out of the question of like, she was kind of just evil.
I mean, I think you could swing with the whole my coven abandoned me, so I abandoned witches
Okay.
thing. Like, but again,
Yeah, I agree
that's
with
a
that.
deeper thing that was not resolved.
That wasn't
like that was never
explored.
brought up. Like I can fully believe that she would just kill witches.
Right.
I get it because they wanted to kill her. I get it, but you didn't bring it up. You
Yeah,
just
it was
showed her being
never-
straight up evil, and she
Right.
liked it. She was having a good fucking time.
Yeah. And so you never, that's like something else you just never explored and resolved, is that she has more depth than that.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of this, she's not an anti-hero. She's not a tragic hero. She's barely redeemable at the end of this.
Yeah,
She's just a straight up villain.
when she
And-
comes back as a ghost, I'm like, fuck this bitch.
Right.
Like,
She's
no.
just the same she was. She's just a villain and she's mean. And we didn't get any more insight into her trauma that led her to be this way, because she got her kid back and she acted this way when her kid was alive. It wasn't even like, well, my kid died, so I'm fine. I hate this all. Do you see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So I just think that y'all didn't give her anything to redeem her, and y'all were hurtling towards making her a character that had trauma that led to these actions, because that's what everyone else's character got.
Yeah.
So I think this was all very well done. I like that they never showed it in
Yeah.
these little vignette moments, because
That
we
was
like already
cool.
knew. So then we get this 6 years later and he takes a
Uh-huh.
bell, and it's
I
like
also,
the bell.
sorry, going back to the first,
Oh, go
they were
for
like
it.
humming songs, and I'm pretty sure they were singing Greensleeves, which I just thought was funny.
Wait, I don't know. What do you mean?
They were, when they're like in the forest the first time,
Yeah.
they're like, she walks in the circle and it shows the feet and it's like the music, and you're like, oh shit, they made a mistake. And I'm pretty sure someone in the background is just like humming Greensleeves.
Oh.
And I just thought that was really funny.
That is funny. So then, yeah, 6 years later, he steals a bell and runs. And so he's like now on the con.
Yeah, it's like a
And-
Pinocchio
Yeah.
scammer type deal, which is cute.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. And they chase her, and she gets them to come into the house, and she kills them and takes their power again. And we
Mhm.
also like don't see it. He's like sitting outside.
Yeah. Does
And-
her power compound every time she steals a witch's power?
I was wondering that. Or does she use it and lose it?
Oh, it's like a bank.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't
Okay.
know. I kind of don't think so.
Gotcha.
I kind of think she just likes being
Okay.
so powerful.
Because she was super strong because she had the grim dark, right? Like that was
The
the
dark
thing.
one?
Dark. Oops.
Yeah. What is that?
I don't know.
I liked it.
She was so strong because she had the dark hold, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what made her super strong. And we don't know when she got that.
No, that was one of my points of things that weren't resolved.
Okay.
So we never got any indication of when the Darkhold was a thing, why she took it, when she took it, why people even think she sacrificed her son. I don't know why people would think that.
Probably because she's fucking evil.
Well, did people even really know she had a kid? Like, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I guess she probably became a bit infamous for like, oh, be careful of a witch that steals your power. It's probably like a rumor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
she probably said it to fuck with somebody once. She was like, I killed my kid on the road and then stole her. You know
but
what I'm saying?
I don't believe she would. Do you see what I'm saying?
I believe it after this episode.
Okay, well. Well,
She's just evil. Like she's not even evil. Cause like I can deal with evil. Honestly, evil's not that bad. She's just unredeemable.
right, unredeemable, which is boring.
Exactly.
It's boring.
That's what I can't stand.
boring. Yeah.
Boring.
So, yeah. So we never got any answers about the Darkhold. That was something on my list. I really think we deserved it because it
Mhm.
was
Well, I think it's
so far
important.
in question. Yeah. So that bothered me a lot.
The vignettes were cool. I think they were like they just kept going though.
Yeah. And we didn't
saw the
learn.
same thing over and over.
We didn't learn enough with each new one.
Yeah, the only thing I learned is like, damn, she is really efficient at killing witches.
Well, I guess what we were supposed to be learning is the sort of progression of how the ballad came to be
Yeah.
and how like she was treating people. Because then we get to, well, first he says like, Mama, why do we kill witches? She says to survive. If not, they'll kill us. Which
And
I
this
think
is that's the moment where you bring in the whole trauma of her coven.
yes,
But they
they
didn't.
didn't do that. I don't feel like it was explored enough in WandaVision to be like, oh, they get it. We're good.
Mm-mm.
And he starts humming just like a cute little song. Walk, walk, walk the road. I walk the windy road. Like
Yeah.
it's cute and it's the ballad, the to the rhythm and the song. It's like that's
Yeah.
what it is.
Something I thought was cute was he was singing it in a major key to start off. Like it was a cute like children's song, and then
Oh.
it slowly became more of this like it's minery, but it's not minery. Like, I won't like go into the theory about it or anything, but it's like it's a very specific folk style of singing.
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool that it started as a much more like kid song sounding song,
Yeah,
and then
that's
it like
cool.
sort of warped as it got used for like evil.
Yeah.
I guess I thought that was really cool, really clever.
They also, he's like, I'm hungry, use your purple. And that's fun that he said, use your purple.
That was
And
really
she's
cute.
like, I can't heal you and I can't know when she'll return.
That was my favorite part of this episode.
Okay.
I love that. Because that was like, that's the character depth.
Yes.
That's like I wrote down so powerful but powerless. Like, that is interesting. You know, it's cool. Because then you're reminded, oh, there's this ticking clock every single day. She's like, this could be the last day.
Well, I wish they would have played that up more. Or maybe her reasoning behind it is she wants so much power so that she can face Rio. So when Rio comes to take Nicholas, she has enough power. Mm-hmm. And that could have been a good reasoning. Yeah. And I do truly believe that you don't have to give a reason behind every like villain actions. But when this show has been about that, it's been about the reason behind things and the truth and right. I think that could have made this stronger. For sure. I also think something else that could have made this stronger is when Rio came to take him, or at some point, if Rio could have been like, I have to, right? Because she did say that in the one episode about it, like, she is my scar, right? I had to do this because it's my job. Yeah. And I think maybe establishing it that like Agatha doesn't believe her or care somehow, or it's this cognitive dissonance of Agatha needs someone to blame. She needs someone to blame, and it has to be Rio because she's got no one else to blame. Yeah. And that took away both Rio and it took away Nicholas in both those moments. And that could have left her even at a stronger low. And now you have more sympathy for her. But they just didn't do any of that. So then they're singing the song and coming up with the words. And this is where we get like a slow-mo montage. And this was cute. Again, on its own, it's cute. But I think it just like everything went on really long. Yeah. Well, this whole time I'm just like, okay, that's cool. What's happening now though? Right. So he starts singing it in the tavern, which I'm guessing this was how it became like a... Yeah, I did think that was cool. Like, they're literally spreading the rumor themselves. Yes. Like, that's adorable. He basically, some woman is like, I'll take you. And he says, my mom needs me, and runs off. And he's like, Mama, can we kill more witches tomorrow? I promise. Oh, you know what I think it's supposed to be, Alex? I think maybe because this is after this when she doesn't kill the witches. That's when Rio comes to take her. Is she like siphoning power to protect him? No, I think what it is essentially what it maybe was supposed to be was Agatha is killing these witches, which is great because then Rio gets them. She gets them. The day she does not go and kill these witches when she had the opportunity to is when Nicholas Scratch is taken. And so it's like, you owe me Nicholas Scratch. Interesting. And in payment, Agatha is like, hold on. You're getting all these witches from me. Let me keep my son. And that seems to be the trade-off, that maybe that's what they were going for. Okay. And that would have been cool, I think, because then that would have put the blame on Rio. Yeah. Or maybe if we heard more about balance, I think that could have been cool. I don't know. It's just like, because it didn't say, I need life. She said, all I can give you is time. Yeah. So it's not, she never said like, if you fuck up one day, that's the day. Well, no, I know. I'm saying, you know? I don't think that's what maybe that's what they were trying to do. Or maybe that. I can see that. It's just still just like, ugh. Well, I feel like they played it too safe and didn't make a real choice. So is Rio doing this purposely or not? I think we need to make a choice as the writers. Yeah. I think out of all the things you could have done, because this wasn't Agatha making a mistake. This wasn't Agatha being greedy. This wasn't Rio being weird. This was Nicholas being like, hey, can we not murder? And his mother being like, okay. And then he dies. Right. So like he suffered for being innocent. Is that should we like what? I really think what they should have done is gone with this like tragic hero mindset. So I think Agatha, which is like a thing in like Greek theater, I think Agatha needed to mess up somehow. And that caused him to die. Yeah. You know? And so, because it's like, what it is you have your flaw. What's her flaw, right? That she's like greedy would be her flaw. We've already started this setup of what a tragic hero is. She has her fatal flaw, which I would say would be greed and like power hungry. And then you need some sort of like downfall that comes at her own hands.
Yeah.
Her son dying did not come from her own hands.
No.
And so it didn't really feel warranted or earned. And then typically because of your mistake, you have a punishment that doesn't fit the crime. So if it was like a simple mistake, some mistake that definitely didn't warrant her son fully dying, right? To me, that's what they were leading towards, is this tragic hero. And it's someone who is like typically someone who's like important and special. And like that would be her. She's got this power that other people don't have.
Yeah.
And so it's weird to me that they had this like really clear formula. And the reason why I bring this up is because Marvel loves to make a tragic hero.
Yeah, true.
And like Loki is a tragic hero. I can name more, but like you see what I'm saying. Yeah. Thor might even be one, right? Like a lot of these superheroes, Spider-Man is a perfect example of a tragic hero. Yeah. Perfect example. And like his aunt dying because of a mistake he made, or his Uncle Ben dying because of a mistake he made.
Yeah.
And it's just weird to me that they had all the pins set up and didn't knock them down.
For sure.
So sorry, that was a long tangent.
No,
but like,
the other thing I don't like about the one day mistake thing is that she continues to just kill witches. Yeah. But it's never addressed as the I'll get you all these souls, just give me my son back. She just does it because she's pissed off.
Or it's barely even addressed as that, because nothing actually literally nothing fucking changed once her son died.
Exactly. All she did was sang the song.
That's actually criminal.
Yeah.
That is disgusting to me, because her son died and she just carried on as she was. Just this time she did it by herself.
Yeah. I want to say some positive things.
Okay, go ahead.
When we see Rio, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
She's lit with the green fire. They keep cutting back to their orange fire. Yeah. And like the color difference, it's absolutely wild. And Rio's such a cool presence as Death.
Well, and then she has Nicholas kiss Agatha's cheek, which to me shows that she does still care.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. Like, she didn't rip him away. Right. She was like, it's time to go. And he's like, yeah, I get it. You know?
And he's like sick, right? I don't think they.
That was the other thing.
They did that well.
No,
that
I was like, is he supposed to die from like the plague or whatever, or is this the magic? Like, it's just very confusing. Mm-hmm. Really, really, tasteful shot of her waking up to find the dead body. Yeah, not showing the face. Her like soft whimpers as we zoom out.
First, Rio takes him and crosses a bridge with him, which is a great metaphorical visual tool of like crossing a bridge into another lifetime, into your death, right? Yeah. So this was all done really nicely. And yeah, we do the same side angle we did when Alice woke up, when she was dead, which was very cool. Yeah. And yeah, it's very sad. And she says, again, I want more time, which is great. That's a great through line of this time and death. Yeah. And she makes like a grave for him out of stones, and she puts his hair in the locket. And then she starts singing the song and is crying. And yeah, I thought this was all really, I thought Catherine Hahn acted the shit out of this moment. I thought it was really good. I guess what I'll say is I wanted to be emotional too. And
that's the thing. I remember like, I wish I were crying right now.
When we bought these hats, we started this episode and I thought.
I was worried I wasn't dressed up enough.
Well, I thought, I'm going to look really fucking stupid with this hat on and tears running down my face. And I'm going to be like sobbing, looking so silly. I was like, that's going to be so funny. Oh, well, for the podcast, right? Yeah. And then the episode ended and I was like, my eyes are dry.
My eyes are dry.
They're dry.
May a tear.
I wanted to cry. I wanted to cry about this dead kid.
I wanted to just like sit in silence and be like, holy shit.
And that's what I thought I was going to get.
Yeah.
And that's not what I got.
No.
So, and there's a lot of reasons for that.
Oh, yeah.
And one of those is just because it's not surprising he died. And it doesn't need to be, but it could at least have.
Well, and it's just so anticlimactic.
Yes,
again,
that's
like
the big
going
one.
From this idea that they have set up that she viciously sacrificed him for the pursuit of some sort of higher power. That's hardcore. That's metal as fuck. And then to be like, he's dead. It's like, I guess it's sad, but like, I don't know. You've had me picturing something so much worse the whole time.
How sad it would have been if she messed up and was begging begging after she messed up, right? Like, I don't know what it would be, what the mess up would be, but I could see it being so impactful.
Yeah. Or even we know she goes for the Darkhold, right? So she is at the level of power and greed to go after these mythical objects. Maybe they met each other. She met Death because she was trying to like strike a magical bargain. Like she wanted some of Death's power, right? And it's like the only way to do that was to sacrifice something. And she's like, yeah, whatever. And then she's like, oh shit, not my kid though.
Yeah. I think
And
it was
then
like
that trade-off, that explains their relationship, why they hate each other. It's clearly her mistake. She actively lives with that grief and she's still greedy and power hungry because it's like this cycle thing, right? That's a more holistic character flaw to improve upon.
I also think okay, here's the thing. I'm not downplaying any sort of death of a child. That's terrible.
Yes.
But she does not live a normal lifespan.
Yeah.
So I would think she would still be sad about this. Don't get me wrong. I still think she would be deeply sad. But when someone you care about dies, it never like goes away, but you see
there's
what I'm
a grieving
saying.
process. There's a moment where it lifts.
There's a moment where it no longer feels like it's like a boulder on top of you, right? Like there is that moment. And so I don't think for him to just simply have died kind of normally.
Yes.
And we didn't even explore the fact that because of that, she didn't have Rio anymore. Because I also think she would be over Rio by this point.
Yeah.
So I think she would have gotten past the trauma because it's been hundreds of years.
Yes.
It's been almost 300 years. So I think I would fucking hope that in 300 years, my trauma was fully healed.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? But I feel like if it was something that was crazy, or they played up that she also lost Rio, or that it was a bigger, more horrible thing that happened, a mistake she made, I feel like it would warrant where she's at when we start this show.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking about this just now. If we go back to what I was saying, if she like had tried to take some of Death's powers or something, like to live through the hundreds of years, maybe when she uses her powers, she hears like the screaming of the dead, but she specifically only hears Nicholas's, right?
Yeah,
so it's like
that.
Anytime she uses this power that she sacrificed everything for, she hears the voice of everything that she sacrificed, right? Like that's like, if you want to live with that grief, because I totally agree. Like mourn, it takes time. Everybody like lives through things differently. It's been 300 years, right? And you've been soullessly murdering people.
Yeah.
Like you can't convince me that this is that weight on you.
Yeah.
You know?
Not from
I'm sure you've killed children, probably, right? Like maybe not accidentally or something, but like.
So I don't know. I just feel like, yeah. And if you are so upset about this grief and you go along killing people, I guess that it becomes somewhat hypocritical too. And this didn't make her that way. I don't know. We've talked about it. I'm going to keep going. So basically Agatha's like, I'll show you the way. Of course, and
this made me laugh. So she's like at the grave of her son.
Yeah.
And then somebody's like, "Do you know the way to the road?" And she's like, "Fuck yeah, I do." I thought that was so. I wrote down this con started early. He is like fresh in the ground, and she's like, "Let me use this," which I think is really funny.
We kind of get this like montage, and it's basically exactly what we saw. They try to summon the road. They sing it. There is no door. She antagonizes them until they blast her, and then she kills them. Yeah.
In a vacuum, I thought this was really cool.
Oh, in a vacuum, this was so good.
The costumes, the angles they used, the like comedy of like, well, I guess you guys fucked up, and then shit. Like, I thought that was really funny. I noticed each coven had a different like communal color of magic.
Ooh, cool.
I don't know if that means anything. It just looked really cool, and every time it was like pink or blue or whatever, and then it was just purple, and it was so pretty to look at. It was so good.
I thought the costumes was really cool. So we go from like early 1900s to like it's literally centuries of this. We have like it looked to me like a 1930s and like 70s and 80s and then all the way to the present. So I thought this montage, I agree. And until the present happens and the door appears. Yeah. Which also the bell looked to be the bell that Nicholas Scratch stole, which was cute. Just cute little.
Very cute.
And she sees it. And she is kind of like, whoa. And she literally looks into the camera. And that's where we're caught up. We're caught up to what's happened. I don't think this was an all in your head kind of thing. I think he created a place.
I agree.
Because
Jen like climbed out of the dirt.
Right. So I don't think it was just like them walking in circles around the basement.
No, I think it was a real like place they went to.
Yeah, because he went back and could have opened it again. It wasn't just like in their heads like WandaVision.
I agree.
Okay.
And well, in WandaVision, they existed in the town. Like it wasn't just like they were living in their heads, but they were moving around the town.
Yes, yeah.
You know? So
but
like,
I think if you walk down the road, it would be like there. Like anyone could go walk down.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah. So like the same way that Wanda put her thing over the town, he like excavated out the dirt or whatever.
Right.
And like, yeah, I fully agree. I think it's a physical place that he invented.
Okay. And then, yeah, we're back to the present. And she's a ghost. I did not like this.
No, I did not like it either.
It wasn't satisfying.
Well, I forget when she said this.
She said, I wrote it down. She said, I did not sacrifice myself for you. I took a calculated risk. What?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that line. I was like, what?
What does that mean?
What
does that mean?
And I've been trying to think like, okay, maybe she is, because the other people are not ghosts, right? Teen asks, he's like, are the other people ghosts? She says no, right? So maybe she knows some sort of crazy hex or whatever to make herself a ghost, so she can be eternal, so she can have enough time.
Oh,
right?
I guess that's what she was doing in episode 8 with the water and the fire, maybe, and the protection circle. I guess that's what she's doing.
Maybe.
Wait, say what you just said again about time. That was good.
Well, she was just like, if she's a ghost, then she never like truly passes over, so she has more time, right? And that's the whole thing. I get it, but the way you ended the show tells me nothing about why she's a ghost.
Yeah.
So again, like by itself, I think it's a cool idea. She's still funny as a ghost. That's great. But like you ended the show and it didn't make a difference. She could have been alive, you know?
Yeah. All she did was sacrifice herself for Teen. And
then not really, 'cause she's a ghost.
Yeah.
And she can pick stuff up because she's a quick study.
I also just feel like thematically, because I thought she was going to sacrifice herself for Billy. I thought that was possibly going to happen. It's
so obvious.
So obvious. And then it did happen.
But
So
like halfway happened.
But like halfway.
Yeah.
So it was both predictable and because she didn't actually sacrifice her kid for the Darkhold. Not even accidentally. It didn't actually come full circle at all.
No.
So it didn't resolve. Her character arc was not resolved. Her story was not resolved. And she did not change as a person. All the fundamentals of good writing and writing a good character, they said, I don't really want to do that.
Well, and they've built it up throughout the season. Like they've done things where she has incredible peaks and valleys throughout. And that's what you've come to love. Like that's what makes her specific in this cast of very well-defined character arcs.
Yes.
And for them to just completely get rid of that is crazy. Like you already did all the heavy lifting. You just need to stick the landing. And they didn't.
And it's weird because sometimes I feel like writers get into this thing where they make poor writing choices because they would rather surprise you than write a good character. And this is weird because it did neither.
Yeah.
So she tells him how the ballad was a trick. It never meant anything. It wasn't real until you made it real. And he starts realizing, like, basically that means he killed them. And which is, like, true-ish. You know? Like, yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
But would the Salem 7 have not, like, killed them right then and there?
True.
You know? So, and Agatha's like, well, I killed Alice. Lilia, she made her choice. And Billy goes, Mrs. Davis. And he goes, Agatha goes, who? Which I thought that was very funny.
Genuinely very funny.
I loved that.
Very good.
I also think, actually, I'm going to say this after I tell you what happens with Jen. So we cut to Jen, or she says, actually, if you did the math, you saved a life because she was going to just kill them all anyways there in the basement. So if you do the math, you saved them. And
it cuts to this shot of Jen crawling out of the dirt right outside, like the welcome sign of Westview.
Yeah.
And it is freaking gorgeous.
I thought what they were trying to sort of play off was with the way the camera angles were, because it looked very victorious and like she's clawing her way out of the dirt. I thought it was sort of referencing the final girl in horror movies. What do you call it? Like the last girl standing in the horror movie. Like that to me is what that sort of represented, or at least it felt like it.
No,
it
that makes sense. And it was so.
It was really good.
Pretty.
It looks like the sun was rising.
The sun was rising. She's all dirty, but she looks fucking beautiful.
Right.
The sign behind her is like slightly bokeh out, and then she levitates away.
Using her powers.
It's beautiful. It was so beautiful. And she didn't say a word, but she stole the episode.
Her character arc was complete.
Fully real.
She grew as a person.
As she completed the character arc, the weight of the world lifted and she lifted into the air. Amazing.
So well done. So that's great for Jen. And then we don't see her at all again. And she says, if you want to be a witch, get used to this feeling, which I thought was, because she said that basically the exact same thing to Nicholas.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
Which again, like if you're going to play with this idea that their relationships are the same,
you got to show us how.
You got to show us how. And Billy should have said more things that Nicholas said.
Or done more things, because...
You know, a really easy way to make us fall in love with Nicholas besides being a kid? Have him act the way that we already love teen acting.
Yeah.
Right?
Because I didn't fall in love with the kid of Nicholas.
No. I mean, he was cute. He was fine. He did a good job, but I don't really care.
Right. I wasn't heartbroken when Agatha lost him. And I wanted to be. And so I do feel like they needed, because they told us, they didn't show us that Teen and Nicholas were similar. They only told us.
Yeah.
And I guess like they sort of showed us that like Teen cares about people's lives, and like Nicholas did too, sort of. But like they didn't really show us that enough.
And they didn't show us like, I don't know. They kept saying how much she loved him, but I don't know. They were just sort of hanging out.
Yeah.
You know, like she was still killing people. She loves doing that. We know that. They
ran through some flowers.
Yeah. They like snuggled sometimes.
Yeah. I don't think it was enough.
Like I needed to see some like sacrifice. Like I needed to see her like suffering to bring this child joy. Right. Or like she's down and he like is the only good beacon in her life. And it was just kind of just like two people chilling.
I wish they would have shown the trauma from her coven and how he saved her. He made her feel right. Like, I don't understand.
Or how nuanced could it be that like, because the coven was her family, right?
Right.
So maybe like the first like 12 years of his life, his mom like doesn't trust Nicholas, right? And then he finally cracks open the wall that we've seen. We know she puts up this wall, right? And then they have one genuine moment right before he dies, right?
Or we could have seen the wall come up when he died, and we didn't see that. This wall that she created could have started when she died.
Yeah.
Or when he died. I think that could have been cool too. So then I think this scene is really bad. This next scene. I think it's pretty darn bad.
Okay, which one is this one?
He goes to Agatha's house, and the door is still there, which is cool.
Yeah.
And Ghost Agatha's there. And she's just also still antagonising him because she's the same person as when we started the show.
I will say they're playing like different variations of the road theme, like different orchestrations throughout this episode. And those are all fun. But yeah, the scene itself is like, ugh.
So she gives him, or she wants her brooch back because he hasn't. She's like, I'll leave once I get it. So he draws like a pentagram and candles, and he gets his spell book, and he's trying to banish her. And he's like, I don't care anymore. And he says, why can't you just die? And she goes, because I can't face him. And she ends up being able to like knock the brooch out of his hand, and she can like pick it up and put it back on herself. And she says, or Teen says, I'm sure he would forgive you for whatever you did. She says, when you say things like that, you remind me of him. Cool. That's cool that they told us that. And instead of showing us. And then he says, Spirit is my guide. We can make a good team. And Coven of Two. Okay, funny. We're like calling back to things. And this was funny. I do tend to kill my Coven members. And he says, so do I. He undoes the road, turns it into a grave with their names on it, those who died.
That was cute.
They leave the basement and say, let's go find Tommy. And that's it.
That's how it ends. Well, so
here's
go ahead.
This makes me so mad because how did they come to understand each other better? So that way they felt like they could be in this together. They didn't. Nothing changed. All she said was, I can't face him. That's not enough. That's not enough.
I also said, why not?
Right.
What is he? what do you think he's mad? Killing people? He seemed fine with it. Like, yeah, he was like, can we not do it once? But like, it wasn't tearing the family apart.
And also, you're telling me you've spent 350 fucking years being like, oh, my son, every day you named your bunny after him. Every day you think about your son that has died. And you're like, no, I'm good. I don't want to go see him.
Yeah. Or like, yeah, it's the killing people. It's the one day you didn't kill people because he said not to. Like, I'm confused what you think he's upset about. You know? Also, he seems pretty understanding.
Yeah.
He's probably I'm sorry you were so sad for hundreds of years.
I think you just established that because in Billy saying, I'm sure he would forgive you for whatever you did, and you saying that sounds just like him, I think we just established he would forgive you.
Yeah.
In those words.
Mm-hmm.
This was just so unfulfilling and unsatisfying, and no arc was completed because he went from, I'm going to banish you, to her saying, why can't you just, I can't face him is why I can't die. And then they're all peachy keen, they're fine. Nothing. That's not enough for y'all to fully 180 and be besties again.
No, absolutely.
That to me is not good writing, and that's really sad.
Yeah, which is crazy because the two actors also have unbelievable chemistry together, and we've seen that time and time again. Like, I believe their relationship going into the series, but where they end is not believable.
Shorten the montage of her with her kid, because it wasn't done well enough anyway. Shorten it. Mm-hmm. Give me 5 more minutes of Agatha and Teen actually having a heart-to-heart. Yeah. And their walls are down.
Yes.
And relate them to each other and make us feel emotionally attached to them. Mm-hmm. Give us this big finale of a scene. And it's not a big battle. It's an emotional one where we address our traumas together, and we don't need a trial to do it. Yeah. Because we have come together and gone through so much, and we remind each other of who we need. And so we can together overcome our traumas together. And overcome our fear of death together and time, because that's what this whole thing's been about.
Yeah. Well, and how fitting is that at not only where they started, the entrance of the road, right? Where they truly started. We get rid of the flashback altogether. They just sit down and she explains the story. They talk. And then maybe we cut to a flashback here and there. Yeah. But she gets to explain in her words the relationship with Rio, why her son is gone, why she blames herself. And that being reflected off of Teen would be so much stronger than just showing these flashback scenes that are more spectacle than anything else.
Yeah. I think if she said, like, if she really had to face her trauma, because she kind of got out of it in the trial, right? She barely had to face her. And so if this was the real trial, is that I'm going to lose Billy if I don't come clean right here, and I cannot lose a second kid. Yeah. So I'm going to come clean. And I'm going to take my wall down. That would have been emotionally impactful.
And here's the thing. Teen made the road. Like, it's not real. Mm-hmm. But we've established that if you succeed in the trial the right way, you get the thing, right? Like, Jen did unbreak herself. And that was all her, but it was like in the context, right? Yeah. They're still in the road. She opens her heart and fully takes down the wall. That gives her the power to actually touch the brooch.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Agreed.
Instead of it just like happening. And she's like, oh, I'm so good at magic. And I'm like, okay, fuck me, I guess.
Right. You know? That's not enough either. Yeah.
I also, this is a tiny thing, but I feel like it's much bigger. So Agatha's a ghost.
Right.
So the whole time I'm thinking, like, you got to like pass over. And they talk about it, right? They open the door out of the basement. And it's this blinding white light. And I was like, oh shit, Bobby's like sending her to heaven or whatever.
Billy,
sorry. Yeah. Like, Billy's sending her to like the next plane. And then they're just like, let's find Tommy. And I'm like, that just leads like outside. Why did you make it pure white? She's a ghost. Like, what are you talking? That just confused me. And like, to end on that, I was like, this is stupid.
So do we want to go through my list of things that were unresolved?
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Okay. We already talked about how the Darkhold was never established. We never talked again about the Darkhold. And the fact that this is the end of Agatha's story. That's it. We're not getting it. We don't get it. Mm-hmm. We don't get that information. We're not privy to it. So great, cool. Jen being the path ahead. What was that supposed to mean? Is it just that she's just the path ahead because she like
her trial was next?
Right. She unbound herself. She figured it out. That's not enough because Lilia did that and Alice already did that. That doesn't make her the path ahead. That's not enough. She needed to actually like save someone or do something without her magic or something. There needed to be more, or else she's not the path ahead.
Yes.
I think we were deserved more on Agatha and Rio's relationship and how they started dating.
100%.
And maybe even how Rio became Death. I think if we would have gotten how they started dating, we wouldn't need how she became Death, but we needed more of their relationship. And we didn't get that.
Mhm.
We already talked about that a little bit, so I'm going to keep going. Or even like their breakup. So was it just assumed they were broken up when she came for her kid? That wasn't enough. We didn't get any like, we're done, right? She said, if you do this, I'll hate you forever. She didn't do it.
Yeah.
So,
no, it was, again, they showed things, but they didn't answer things.
And it seems like Rio can exist within the context of the world. So like, why didn't we have Rio getting to know this kid or something?
Mhm.
Right? Like, why didn't we have Rio staying in her life?
Yeah.
Weird.
Especially because Agatha's like, you follow me around constantly, da 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 da. And it's like,
no,
okay.
she's not.
So, yeah, it looks like she visited you once 300 years ago, and now she came back when you didn't have any powers.
Yeah. To like mess with you.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get Agatha getting over any of her trauma.
No.
Even in her
Not a
trial,
one.
she didn't. We didn't get it.
No, she ended the series exactly where she started, which is bonkers to me.
It's actually appalling.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad for y'all to have taken an amazing character and done that to her. And I put that the hit the deck moment, and also when Teen gives her his power,
Mm-hmm.
both those things were for nothing. One, because I mean, like if I saw a sink flying at me, I'm gonna hit the deck.
Yeah.
So I think that we've already talked about how it was not gained, but Billy deciding to give her power so she could fight Rio, that was also all for nothing, because after a couple of blasts, she said, oh, it's pointless.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was like not, I don't think that constitutes her getting over anything. I don't think that's a character arc for her at all.
No. And she's dead. She doesn't have any powers anymore. Right. I don't think. I mean, she might, but like she didn't do anything.
Right. The drowning man, Jen being drowned, I thought that was going to come back. I think it's a small thing. I really thought that was going to
come back.
So I'm going to let that go.
Well, they harped on it though. Like in the recap, they were like, I never figured out what was up with that guy. And we now know that he hired Agatha to do it or whatever, but like, what's up with that guy? Right. It's just weird. It's weird to bring it up that many times and not say anything.
Yeah.
Especially when you're against a character like Lilia, who every line came back.
Right.
Right? Like, you can't have a show this tightly written and then just
have a loose end.
Throw something out.
Because you wanted to show her being drowned.
Yeah. It's very strange.
This is a big one.
Uh-huh.
We didn't get any like resolution of the theme of death and time.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't really come. It did come to fruition. There was no ending of that.
Yeah.
Death and time and rebirth and transition theme. Because they did, I would say, if that was supposed to be episode 7's theme, great, perfect. But that's clearly not what it was. 8 and 9 continued that path set up by 7. So we didn't get any sort of, full circle moment with those.
Yeah. And I mean, you have so many instances to do that, right? Like, you could have settled like how long until Rio came for Nicholas. Like, what time does that represent? Is that a certain number of years that keeps repeating or something?
Yeah.
Does time stopped and then restarted for Teen when he was in the new body? Like, all these things that are connected, but you just didn't go anywhere with them.
I feel like people are going to be like, well, no, they talked about time and death in this episode. And I don't think talking about it and referencing it is enough of a completing of the theme.
No.
Because the thing is, to make a theme full, I teach this. So like to make a theme a true theme, you have to take a stance on it. And the end of the episode did not take a stance on death and time. See what I mean?
Yeah.
We didn't get enough information. We just referenced it that she wanted more time and death took time away from her.
Yeah.
And that's not enough, because that's not a theme. That we want more time, that's not a theme.
Mm-mm.
And I just don't think it was her arc. I guess you could say, like, because she became a ghost, she like cheated death and has indefinite time, but she was already an immortal witch.
Well, and they didn't not spell it out, but you need to like allude to the theme a little bit. Like the
Right.
audience needs to know that like, oh, that's what I should walk away thinking about.
Yes.
And it doesn't need to be super obvious. It can be subtle things. She could just say like instead of it was a calculated risk. It was like I was just buying myself some time. That's all you
Yeah.
needed, right? Because that to me is like, oh, that's the theme. But it's just worthless
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. And then this is the one that hurts. What was the point of Lilia's sacrifice? She saved them so Jen could get her powers? I guess. Was it that would have I
So
mean,
Jen
like,
could get
sure.
her powers and Agatha could not learn anything.
Right.
Because that's sad. If anyone deserved to not die, you know, I feel like she was going in the most selfless one.
Because I thought what was going to happen is her sacrifice, because it was so grand,
Mhm.
so well done, I thought it was going to catapult us into the next episodes.
Yeah.
And that it was going to continue with that momentum of she sacrificed herself for a reason.
Yeah.
And that's why we had the path ahead, which was Jen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not what happened. My next thing is, did Lilia know that it was a hex, do you think? She saw Rio attack Agatha.
Uh-huh.
So she can see things that aren't her own path, right? Did she know at that point it wasn't real? Do you
I
think?
don't know.
That's not really a loose end, but just an interesting
Yeah.
conversation.
I don't know.
I don't feel like she did.
Yeah, the way she acts, it makes me feel like not.
And that makes it worse, though, to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one is just that there was no like redeeming qualities. Nothing was redeemed or brought home, or I didn't feel bad or good. Do you see? If the ending was like everyone died and it was sad and it was emotional and the theme is that you can't death is inevitable.
Yeah.
And
it will happen.
it will happen. No matter what you do, death will come. No matter what you sacrifice, no matter what you give up. Lilia's sacrifice, it was the same thing, right? And if that's what I mean by theme has to take a stance, is that death is fully inevitable.
Well, and even they said this, like when at the beginning of episode 8, when Alice is being taken away, she goes, "You're a protector, which you died protecting people."
Which I loved that.
Like that's the theme. Like not only is time cyclical, but like the time you have is worth what you make of it, right?
Yes.
Like whether it be an hour, 7 years, a lifetime, like the time is only worth what you make out of that time.
And that's great for Alice's story, and that also works for Lilia's story.
It works for everybody.
because Lilia didn't put all the pieces together until right before she died. And that infinite loop of right before she died and where she saved people and this amazing thing that happened, all of it was worth it for that. And that's why she ended it. I'm like getting teary-eyed thinking about it. That's why she ended it with "I loved being a witch," because she finally figured it out. And it's like that could have made so much sense if we would have continued that on for Agatha's character.
It's good. Well, and it fits so well because like you can like as you've established, Agatha is such a terrible like person. She kills witches, right? But there was a moment in time where she truly loved another person. And that alone, like that pure love for a child you have makes a life worth living, regardless of the struggle, regardless of everything you've gone through, you know? And it's crazy how they just didn't do any of that.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't want to just like say all the negative things. There were good things in these episodes, and I think we talked about the good things.
Yeah.
And the show, I still love it. I still think it's great.
It's a great show. It really is.
I don't think we're alone in thinking that the last 2 episodes were not what they could have been. And I feel like
it hurt to sort of rag on it because I feel like we've had extremely positive outlook because the show's good. It's really good.
I've barely had a negative thing to say about the show.
Yeah. And I think it's sort of what you said. Like episode 8 and 9 did not ruin the show for me. I'm just already kind of forgetting them.
If I were to say one thing, I would say it's just disappointing.
It's disappointing.
Because my expectations were so high because they set up so many things.
Yeah. And I do think it's purely a resolved writing thing. Like the acting is still great. The costumes, the sets still look really nice. The effects were great. You know, the visual side, the technical side was good. I just really can't like what went on in that writing room for the last 2 episodes, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to be a little bit like, if everyone's like, "Oh, that was amazing," right? And we're the only ones who feel this way. But I stand by it.
I do too. And I mean, that's without trying to sound too pretentious. I feel like that is the goal of
Yeah.
what we're doing here,
Right.
right? Like if something is good, I want to talk about how good it is. But
Right.
if something is lacking, we're not trying to shit on it. We're not
Right.
saying the show is terrible. But after you've set the bar so high, it's like I want to discuss how it fell and
Right.
how we can like look out as an audience,
Yeah.
look out for this and be aware of media to
Mhm.
make it better.
Yes, I don't like settling for bad storytelling.
Mhm.
To me, that's like settling. And I think that's the thing, is that I feel like we really should, if something's not good, I think this is like my biggest pet peeve. If something's not good, I hate when people just say it's good, because it's like they don't put any thought into it.
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, it was cool. They were like witches and had magic. And to me, that's not enough. Like, I think we should demand more. Like, if it is not good, it's not good, and say it's not good.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what's so funny is if people do like say they love these 2 episodes, it's going to make me laugh so much, because I've been so mad that no one's talking about how much they love the episodes before,
Yeah.
because those did warrant. And I don't think like it's just my opinion. I think like we bring a knowledge of storytelling to the table.
Yeah.
And I feel that's why I'm like justified in my thoughts of when I say it's not good.
Absolutely. And I mean,
yeah.
again, a majority of the show was nothing but positive from us. It was great. It was a great time. I can definitely see us both rewatching this. And for this show to have such a unique voice, take so many creative risks, to have it falter, granted, it kind of sucks that it's the very end, but I'd rather have an imperfect show that truly surprises me
and took a risk
than another House of the Dragon, everything's gray, predict everything sort of show. Right.
Exactly. I'd rather have a show that took a risk and fumbled and had really great high highs, right? Really great moments. And maybe they pay off, didn't end. They didn't stick the landing.
Yeah.
But I think that's better than a boring show that we've seen a ton of times.
Yeah.
And the same story we've seen over and over again. This really wasn't that.
We've said this, and I mean, as two people who make things, it's a miracle that anything gets created at all, right? Like the amount of people that need to come together, the amount of time you need to make anything is impressive, right? So by no means, right, we're not, no ill will on anybody who worked on this, this is just us talking about media,
right,
holding it to a standard,
right, and I don't know, I think I was just disappointed. I just had higher expectations because they set it all up for it to be stronger than it was.
I would have never guessed 8 and 9 would have me feeling the way I do,
right?
Because it's been, honestly, nothing but 10s across the board for me so far.
Yes.
Especially after episode 7.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say?
Oh,
I think we should tell them. Well, here, let me do my quote.
Okay.
I just have one for both of them.
Yeah.
My quote was, Agatha says, "We can't fight death," which I think was supposed to be the theme.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it did fall short because she did fight death and was a ghost. And
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So,
that's true.
But I think that was kind of supposed to be the theme. And I feel like
death.
that was, we can't stop death from happening, which I also like. I love that theme. I feel like I choose plays to direct that are of that theme, right? Like that's
death,
something that
time.
Right. That
sure.
like you can't stop change. You can't, death is change and you can't stop that, right?
That's so good.
That is like something that I gravitate towards in like
absolutely
directing. And so I think this was also like in 8 when I thought that 9 was going to really bring that home, and then it didn't happen. But still, that's my quote. Any last thing you want to say about Agatha all along? I feel like we said it all. But
yeah, I think we said it all.
I hope you like our hats.
Yeah, like we said, happy Halloween. We finished our first full series watch through on our podcast. If you've been watching since the beginning, thanks so much for sticking around. If you're new, we're also happy you're here. The best way to support the podcast is by interacting, whichever platform you're listening on. Leave a review, leave a like, leave a comment, interact. We love keeping the conversations going in comment sections. It's been a ton of fun hearing how y'all think the series is going to go, having debates over what we think and talking about points that we missed. I think connecting with other people who are passionate about this stuff is the most rewarding part of what we do.
It's why I like doing this and talking about this. One, I think I can talk about writing and stories all day long, but also it's so much fun. I feel like not everyone has someone that like we do where we can talk about things like this on this level. And I love reading the comments that are so thought out and so thought through and have so many good points that like I missed, or points that I had seen, but I was like, I don't know if that's important, right? It's just so much fun to learn from people also and keep the conversation going, as you said.
For sure. This being the end of a series, if you have a property, a TV show, movie, other media, a book, a play that you want us to review, let us know. We have something planned. Should we reveal?
Yeah,
okay, do you want to reveal what we're going to be going through next?
So the next big like long form show we're going to do is going to be Dune Prophecy, which is premiering November 17th on HBO Max. We are big Dune fans.
Huge.
Alex has read the book. Books.
Just one.
The first one. Okay. Alex has read the book. I might
pick up another before though.
And we've both seen the movies multiple times because we are big fans of the movies.
Absolutely. And our plan is to rewatch the movies and do episodes on the movies. Yes. Before the show comes out proper, because that comes out in a little while.
So the idea is next week we do Dune 1, and the week after that we do Dune 2.
So it's subject matter is a little different, but hopefully many of you join us for that. We are very excited to start that. It seems
cool. It's mostly about the Bene Gesserits, which are like very powerful women who can like control people. So if you're into that, you'll like this one, I think.
Awesome. Anything else to wrap up? I feel like we're celebrating. It's Halloween right now. I'm a little tired. It's 1 a.m.
Yeah, it is 1 a.m.
That's okay though.
I know.
I have school tomorrow.
I know.
Awesome. Thank you again. It's been so great to take you along on this journey. I'm Alex.
I'm Madison.
And this has been Welcome to the Writer's Room. See you next time.